الحمد لله الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فقد قال تعالى في القرآن المجيد والفرقان الحميد بعد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإذا فعلوا فاحشة قالوا وجدنا عليها آباءنا والله أمرنا بها قل إن الله لا يأمر بالفحشاء أتقولون على الله ما لا تعلمون وقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يصبح الرجل مؤمنا ويمسي كافرا أو يمسي مؤمنا ويصبح كافرا يبيع دينه بعرض من الدنيا أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. My dear respected mothers and sisters in Islam, Allah Rabbul Izzat has blessed us with this beautiful deen of Allah. Inna ad-deena inda Allahi al-Islam. The deen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Islam. And this deen that Allah ta'ala has blessed us with needs us to be subjugated to the commands and the laws of Allah, as explained to us by our beloved Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Ad-dunya sijnul mu'min wa jannatul kafir. This world is a prison for the believer, and it is a jannat, it is a paradise for the non-believer. What this means, that for a mu'min and a mu'mina, we have to follow whatever the Quran commands us and dictates to us in every issue in our life. Marriage, social, business, every aspect of our lives has been shown to us by none other than our beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. How to live with your partner, with your wife, how to treat the wife, the rights of the wife, the rights of the husband, the rights of the children. Islam has propagated and set down how the various stratas of society, the men, the women, the children, how each strata of society interacts with the next. So Allah Rabbul Izzat has created all these things for us to benefit. Allah Ta'ala has created man so that he can benefit from woman. Allah Ta'ala has created his wife so the man can take benefit and the woman can take benefit from the man. Allah Ta'ala has created children, and these children that Allah Ta'ala has blessed us with, zinatul hayati dunya, al-mal wal-banun, zinatul hayati dunya. These are there to beautify our lives. Now, when Hazrat Fatima radiallahu ta'ala anha, her nikah was made to Hazrat Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam's nasiha and advice was, "O Ali, you look after the affairs of the house that is on the outside." Meaning, you go out, you earn, you look after your family, you see to the needs of the family. And O Fatima, your work, you are delegated to look after the needs of the family in the house. Now this was the directive given by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Hazrat Fatima radiallahu ta'ala anha, when she should go out with the water bags, and go to the point to collect the water, fill the water in the water bags, put it onto her shoulders. The string should cut the flesh on her shoulders, and in this way bring the water back to the house. So one day Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Hazrat Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu, told Hazrat Fatima, go to your father, the Rasul of Allah. Some slaves have come and request him to send you a servant that will help you with the chores of the house. Hazrat Fatima radiallahu ta'ala anha goes and she sees the Sahaba around Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So she feels too shy to go further and to ask the Rasul of Allah, and she returns. But the Rasul of Allah notices that she had come, and the Rasul of Allah knows she was there. So later on during the course of the day, he comes to the house and he says, oh Fatima, I saw you, you had come. What was your need? What did you want? Hazrat Fatima radiallahu ta'ala anha was the embodiment of modesty and haya. That is what is missing in our lives today. That how we can be modest, how we can protect ourselves, how we can have haya in our lives, not only in our lives, but in the lives of the girls in our homes, the young girls that we got in our homes, how they can also have this haya. Al-haya'u shu'batun min al-iman. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned that haya is a branch of iman. And this haya, an example is given that if we have something precious, if we have something precious in our home, do we leave it lying around? Do we leave it on the table? Do we leave it where it can easily be stolen? Or do we take it and keep it in a safe place where nobody can see, nobody knows where it is hidden? My dear respected mothers and sisters, in the eyes of the ummah, the mothers and sisters are worth more than the most expensive jewel on the surface of this earth. That is your position. That is how you're supposed to be protected. And that is how all the rights have been given to you. Prior to the coming of Islam, the rights of women, there were hardly any rights. They were treated as goods, as commodities. If the father passed away and he was married and he had the stepwife, he was married to another woman, then the stepson had the right to take over the wife of his father. But Islam came and gave rights to the wives. And Islam came and Islam gave rights to all individuals. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that Allah ta'ala has created the human race. Some of them Allah ta'ala has created as male, some as female. And this is what Allah ta'ala has created for the existence of mankind. That throughout the time that Allah ta'ala had created a man and a woman, and this is the way that reproduction takes place, and this is the way that man continues to regenerate generation after generation, from Hazrat Adam alayhi salatu wasalam right down till now, how you and I were procreated, that through the meeting of our fathers and our mothers, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded. All these things are mentioned in the Quran. هل أتى على الإنسان حين من الدهر لم يكن شيئا مذكورا إنا خلقنا الإنسان من نطفة أمشاج نبتلوه فجعلناه سميعا بصيرا. Allah Ta'ala mentions in detail the ayat indicates to us conception, and from conception how the embryo is formed and how the human is formed, and 9 months carried in the stomach of the mother, and thereafter the birth takes place. All these things are the miracles that Allah Ta'ala wanted to show us. Allah Ta'ala wanted to show us the infinite power, and that nobody can copy the power of Allah. No matter how hard we try, no matter what we do, that how Allah Ta'ala creates the embryo in 3 layers of darkness. Create the hands, create the brain. The first thing to be created is the heart. كُلُّ مَوْلُودٍ يُولَدُ عَلَى الْفِطْرَةِ. Every child that is born upon the fitrah of the deen of Islam. Every child that is born according to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already indoctrinated on La ilaha illallah. It is how the parents bring up the child. That is how the child will live. That is why in my introduction I mentioned that if the parents follow the guidelines of the Rasul of Allah, how the Rasul of Allah told us to live, then we will find in that home there will be harmony, there will be peace, there will be love, there will be cooperation, there will be understanding between the couple. And the progeny that has come from there, the children will be the coolness of their eyes. But now we find that there are challenges that are facing us. There are many, the world we live in is full of intricate challenges. And the most intricate of challenge that we have to pass is the test of Iman. And the test of Iman will never end. It will only change itself. The one test will finish, another test will come. After we have passed that test, something else will come to test us. And this will continue. And as we get closer to Qiyamah, the test will get more harsh and more bold. And there will be such intensity of tests. So many challenges and fitna will come upon us. And so many things will happen that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions that a person that is in deen, in the morning, he will be a believer. يُصْبِحُ الرَّجُلُ مُؤْمِنًا وَيُمْسِي كَافِرًا. And in the evening, he will be a disbeliever by some act that he did, or something that he said, something that he mentioned that will take him out of the fold of Islam. Or a person will be a believer in the evening, and by the morning he will be a disbeliever. So, if you think about this, a person is sleeping. How will kufr enter into his life or into his heart? Today, more than ever, we can see it is prevalent. Whilst we are lying in our beds, phones in our hands, and sites pop up, and before we know it, we are going to one site and another site and another site, and before we know it, we are surfing in such dangerous territory that is holding our iman at ransom, holding our iman at stake, that now by the press of one button we are viewing such dangerous things that there may be a chance that our iman may be taken away. So during the course of the day, a person will be mu'min. By the evening, he will become a disbeliever. By some transaction that he's doing, by some interaction that he is having, then by having that interaction, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala relieves him of his iman. May Allah ta'ala save one and all of us. And the warning that comes in this hadith, يَبِيءُ دِينَهُ بِعَرَضٍ مِّنَ الدُّنْيَا, that he will take this deen and he will sell it for a paltry sum, a paltry thing of this world. His deen will become such a commodity that he will want to trade in it and he want to sell it, but at what cost? That he is selling his iman. So we should be very, very clear on this. Once the tests get harsher and more complicated, then it must not be such that our iman, the immune system of our iman, becomes weaker. So what is our responsibility? Our responsibility to keep strengthening our iman and the iman of our family members and our children. To make sure that our iman is strong, and at the same time to make sure the iman of our children, the iman of our husbands, the iman of our close family members is also strong. Allah Rabbul Izzat mentions in the Quran, Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu, Qu anfusakum wa ahlikum nara. O you who believe, save yourselves and your families from the fire of Jahannam. My dear respected mothers and sisters, as I mentioned to you, Hazrat Fatima radiallahu ta'ala anha was a pinnacle of Iman, was a pinnacle of Haya. Her whole life was based on Haya and modesty. Up till the point where she passed away after Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the first member of the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to pass away was Hazrat Fatima radiallahu ta'ala anha. So before she passed away, she made wasiyat that no mahram must see the shape of my body, and my body must not be exposed to any mahram. Any person that I can get married to, my body must not be exposed. So the Sahaba made mashwara and they decided that they will cover the body with a sheet that will not expose the body of Hazrat Fatima radiallahu ta'ala anha. Because of that fikr of hers, till today, we find when a female passes away, then a sheet is placed over the qabr and her body is lowered into the qabr is kept covered till the planks have been placed and the sand is starting to get filled. So, at the point of death, we know that our bodies will be covered. But whilst we are alive, we do not want to accept the fact that we have to dress in such clothing that will be modest, that will not expose our bodies to anyone. So how important it is to have this quality of haya. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam has mentioned, إن الحياء والإيمان قرنا جميعا فإذا رفع أحدهما رفع الآخر. Indeed, haya and iman have been joined together. When one leaves, the other will also follow. My dear respected mothers and sisters, behayai, shamelessness, there are different forms of these. And these have become the scourge of our society. Illicit activities among Muslim teens. And we find that because of these activities, very, very few are safe. The issue of marital infidelity, where people are involved in such things, where the marriages are not safe anymore. Young and old have become such that they waste their nights on the internet, looking at vulgar things, looking at things that will snatch away the iman. So this type of behavior takes us closer and closer to immodesty and to haram, and takes us further away from the rahmat and the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. My dear respected mothers and sisters, today it has become a norm to wear such garments that before even the non-Muslim woman would have regarded as utterly disgraceful to wear such garments. But today, the woman, our own Muslim woman, the woman of the Ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, without giving it a second thought, they are wearing such type of garments. Now, what is happening? That because we are showing disregard to the deen of Allah, we are going closer and closer to the azab of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And through this we find that society is brainwashing us in such a manner that what was totally haram. See, shaitan works in very, very subtle ways. Shaitan does not attack you. It does not come full force and attack you. But shaitan will work subtly, quietly, influencing you to do wrong, telling you there's nothing wrong. You can do this act, nothing will happen to you. So that is how shaitan works. So what was totally abnormal and totally haram 20 years ago, where if a person had done such an act or got involved in such a thing, then society as a whole would look down upon him, and they will ostracize him or her. They will take her out of society. But because of the breakdown of haya, we find something that was absolutely bad and absolutely haram. It has now been pushed as the norms of society. It has been pushed to such an extent that people will think if you do not toe the line, then you will become the bad one. But in these things, my dear respected mothers and sisters, what we have to realize, that the command of Allah Ta'ala holds supreme, that Allah Rabbul Izzat is the laws of Allah will be followed, and the laws of man and whatever they have come up with will be totally disregarded. We find that when a person is involved in a sin, then he will try and hide it and try and keep it under cover. But with regard to this sin that we are exposed to, where an entire nation was destroyed, where Allah Rabbul Izzat mentions over and over again what happened to this nation that were involved in a sin where they were attracted to people of the same sex. The story of Lut alayhi salatu wasalam, where when the angels came dressed as young, handsome youth, and they came to the house of Lut alayhi salatu wasalam, the people of that time, they were involved in the same sin which people of society, of high society, people of influence, people who think that they do not have to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which they are pushing. Allah Ta'ala has mentioned explicitly and in detail to what will happen if a person is engaged in such activity. So when these angels came, and they came into the house of Lut alayhi salatu wasalam, then the people heard that there's some young, attractive males in the house of Lut alayhi salatu wasalam, and they wanted to gratify and satisfy their nafs, so they came to catch them. Lut alayhi salatu wasalam warned them and told them, do not interfere with these people. Rather, I will marry you off to my daughters. Marry my daughters and satisfy your needs. But do not engage in this type of sin, because it will only lead to your destruction. But what these people did, they did not listen. They wanted to gratify themselves and satisfy their nafs. And this is when Allah Ta'ala sent His azab, His punishment. Those of us that had the benefit of visiting Israel or Palestine, as the original name is Palestine, the Dead Sea in Palestine. So you will find that that water, that point is the lowest point on the surface of this earth. Why? Because when they were engaged in this type of sin, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded the angels that take this town where these people are involved in this sin, raise it up to the sky. It is mentioned in the hadith that this town was raised so high, right up towards the heavens, where the malaika could hear the people talking. And thereupon Allah Ta'ala gave the command that turn this town upside down and let it fall back to the earth. And as it fell back to the earth, it was this became the lowest point on earth. And these people were buried under this, and water filled on top of them. This was the punishment that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had destined for those people that said that we are attracted to the people of the same. If I'm a man, I'm attracted to a man. وَنَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنْ ذَلِكَ. So these people, they have repackaged themselves as a victimized minority, and they are deserving of special protection and care. And what they say, that we are born this way, and it is not our choice. So this was a move on their side to win sympathy, and to say that it is not our fault that we are behaving in this manner, but because we were born this way. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions clearly in the Quran, وَإِذَا فَعَلُوا فَاحِشَةً قَالُوا وَجَدْنَا عَلَيْهَا آبَاءَنَا وَاللَّهُ أَمَرَنَا بِهَا قُلْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَأْمُرُ بِالْفَحْشَاءِ. When they do any shameful acts, they say, we have found our fathers doing it, that is why we are doing it. And Allah, na'udhu billah, they say, Allah Ta'ala has ordered us to do so. So Rasulullah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قُلْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَأْمُرُ بِالْفَحْشَاءِ. Allah Ta'ala never orders anything shameful. أَتَقُولُونَ عَلَى اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Do you say about Allah what you do not know? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is challenging them. So we find that what are they doing to promote these type of activities? First and foremost, they're trying to capture our children. They are selling such toys and such things that are so-called rainbow colored, so that it becomes that these children are already drawn towards these things. And also from the government level, they want to start these things in our schools, where they have the CSE compulsory education, which is called the comprehensive sexuality education. It is inculcated in the school syllabus, which they say gives our children values and attitudes and guidance regarding sexuality and all these things. And also they are putting teachers in schools who are gay and lesbians. So my dear respected mothers and sisters, we find that they call themselves the pride community, which they have nothing to be proud about. And we find that it is totally sad to notice that we have worshipped, or we are worshipping those characters that are portrayed on TV, and we think that they are our role models, but they turn out to be such that they are attributing themselves towards such a community that once Allah Ta'ala's punishment will have to fall upon them. My dear respected mothers and sisters, we find that Allah Ta'ala has made male and female. And Allah Ta'ala has made it such that Allah Ta'ala puts love in the heart of a man towards his wife. And this is the only way that the human race will survive. And there's no other way. A family consists of a father, a mother, and children. And that is how the future generations come across. There's no way that a child can have two fathers, or a child can have two mothers. But Allah Ta'ala's system is such that a mother and a father is required so that a child can be produced. My dear respected brothers and sisters, we have to save ourselves from these fitnas. First of all, we got the fitna of the LGBT, I call them the alphabets. Then we got the fitna of the interfaith movement. Then we got the fitna of the drugs. Then we got the fitna of where a person feels he does not have to follow any religion. He can do whatever he wants. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made a person's gender. Allah Ta'ala has created a person. Either that person is male or either he is a female. And Allah Ta'ala has mentioned various parts in the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned that a male and a female, these are the two genders Allah Ta'ala has made. And there's no doubt in that. And those that disregard the command of Allah, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam has mentioned, Inna akhwafa ma akhafu alayya ala ummati amalu qawmi lutin. One of the greatest fears I have for my ummah is that they do the action of the people of Lut alayhi salatu wasalam. And also Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam has cursed these people. La'ana Allahu man amala qawmi lutin. May the curse of Allah Ta'ala be upon the person who does the action of the people of Lut alayhi salatu wasalam. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam has also mentioned, when homosexuality becomes rife in a society, Allah Rabbul Izzat lifts His help from the creation. He does not care in which valley these people are destroyed. Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala has mentioned, there are 4 types of people who spend the morning in the anger of Allah, and in the evening in the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And who are those 4 types of people? Those men who imitate women, those women who imitate men, those who commit bestiality, and those men who approach men to fulfill their desires. My dear respected brothers and sisters, this warning encompasses all the things that the people of the alphabet, they are propagating. This warning is for all those things. But we see from the above that what is very, very clear, what I have mentioned now, that for a Muslim to behave in this manner, or even to accept this abnormal behavior, rather it is our Islamic responsibility and duty to hate the sin that is being committed. Nabi Lut alayhi salatu wasalam has mentioned that indeed that act that you are doing, I am disgusted with that act. Inni li'amalikum min al-qalin. I hate this act that you are doing. This act you are doing is bringing the wrath of Allah and your destruction, that Allah Ta'ala is going to destroy you. So my dear respected brothers and sisters, what do we do? What do we do in this situation? First and foremost, we have to make dua for our children. Fitanun qaqita'il laylil muslim. So much of fitnas are coming. One fitna is not finished and another is there. The secular education that we are going through, the schools that we are attending, the whole agenda of these schools is to indoctrinate in the children that you are free. You can do what you want. You do not have to listen to your parents. You do not have to listen to anybody. But we know is that we have to look after what is ours. كُلُّكُمْ رَاءٍ وَكُلُّكُمْ مَسْئُولٌ عَنْ رَعِيَّتِهِ. Each of you is a shepherd, and each of you is responsible for your flock. If you see a fire under the bed of your child, will you leave the child alone? It is like how we say, Fajr time, what's the excuse? I can't wake my child up. He's studying so hard. He's working so hard. He needs to sleep, etc. If there was a fire under the bed of the child, would you leave the child to sleep? Or would you run into the room, pull the child out to save him from the impending fire and what is going to happen to him, the harm that is going to come to his way? So similarly, we need to control our children. What the child is watching, what gadgets he has got, what he is exposed to. We're supposed to be knowing what the child is doing. But unfortunately, if both the parents are working, when they come back home in the evening, both are tired, both need to rest, they had a hard day at work. So there is no supervision of what the children are doing and what they are up to. And in this manner, they are getting involved in all these illicit activities that they have on their phones, or what they are reading, etc. They are exposed to these things. The way to the heart is through the senses, either what you see, what you hear, what you think about, what you walk towards, what you touch. These are the ways to the heart. And once a person is exposed to this type of filth, and it is filled in his heart, then very, very easily he can get involved in these type of activities. So we have to inculcate into our children such skills that will help them navigate through the waters of life, through the ocean of life. Teach them what is halal, teach them what is haram. Explain to them, do mutala of the incident of Lut alayhi salatu wasalam. Explain to them what is the harms of getting involved in these type of activities. My dear respected mothers and sisters, this sound Islamic values is a moral compass on where our children are going. Establish ta'aleem in the homes. Take karguzari of the day of the children. How did your day go? What did you achieve? What did you learn in madrasa? Sit with the child. Do the madrasa homework together. Help them. And in this way, inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will protect them from the evils of society. My dear respected brothers and sisters, we find that the times that we are living in is very, very challenging. So many incidents we are hearing of, where a person gets married, a girl gets married off, and because there's something wrong with the husband is involved in all these illegal activities at night, the marriage starts to fail. The girl goes happily out of the house, and within a few weeks, few months, she's back home, crying on her parents' shoulders, because this is what is the reality that is happening on the ground. So we have to engage in constant dua, crying and begging Allah Ta'ala to protect us and protect our progenies. Allah is the only one that can protect us. Lut alayhi salatu wasalam was living in a community that was involved in the sin. And Lut alayhi salatu wasalam still had a strong commitment and a concern that his family be saved from this people, from the evil influence. And he did not want that his family get involved in this type of sins. So he made dua to Allah, Rabbi najjini wa ahli mimma ya'malun. Oh Allah, oh Allah, oh my Rabb, save me and my household from the evil deeds, from those deeds which these people are doing. So my dear respected brothers and sisters, we are the homemakers. The first madrasa is the lap of the mother. We have to see that our children are brought up in the correct environment, in the correct manner, where they are saved from the evil influences. Now, lately, a few days ago, one of the youngsters that had come with us out in Jamaat, that had come out in Jamaat with us. So after a few years ago, he had came out. So after some time, when he had come back, we had told the parents that this boy wants to go and study in the madrasa. He wants to finish his hifz, etc. Why don't you send him? So their concern was that this son of ours needs to finish off his schooling. He needs to go to campus and varsity. He needs to do all these things. So we were just a few satis. They are the parents, they have the right to the child. So the child continued with his schooling. And over a period of few months, he lost contact with the masjid, where he stopped coming to the masjid and not performing salah, etc. in the masjid. So when he reached his matric year, it so happened that the school had removed him. So upon investigation, it was found that this boy was expelled from school because of abuse of drugs. And now he's become so sickly, etc., that he cannot do anything. So when a child is going in a direction of deen, where he wants to learn deen, he wants to practice deen, we should support him and take him in that direction, because he is going to save himself and his family members. So my dear respected brothers and sisters, let us influence our children in such a manner. Let us be a mu'awin, a helper to them, and not somebody that will take them away from the Sirat al-Mustaqim. We see the scourge of drugs. We see the interfaith movement, where the interfaith movement proclaims that every religion is the same. You can be a Hindu, you can be a Christian, you can be all these things, but you're all worshipping one Allah, wa na'udhu billah. And then we get the Abrahamic movement, where the Abrahamic movement, the house of Abraham, Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. So they say the three main religions, Islam, Christianity, and Judaism, all share the same root. Wa na'udhu billahi min dhalik. Our aqaid and our belief is that we believe in La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. There is none worthy of worship except Allah, and Muhammad Salajee is a messenger of Allah. hatta al-maut, till the time we leave this world. We should make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah Rabbul Izzat keep us steadfast on Iman. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not cause us to lose our Iman. My dear respected mothers and sisters, so many are married. We find in the community that I live, so many people intermarried. The girl is Muslim, the husband is Hindu, or the husband is Muslim, the wife is Hindu or Christian. What happens to those children? When we went to Argentina, we came across a family. And this family, their father was a Muslim. He had passed away some time back, but he did not teach the children, or he was not allowed to teach the children about Islam. So his son, who was quite old at that time, the father had passed away, used to say that I should peep through the keyhole and I should see my father making certain actions and performing his salah. I later came to know that he was performing salah, or he should read the Quran, but he did not teach us about that. He did not tell us about it. And therefore, we do not know how to do all these things. So we do not want to be in such a society where we are entered into Jannat, and whilst our children are in such a condition that they are left to rot, and they are left in this condition where they can do whatever they want. And because of this freedom of thought, azad, mizaj you call it, where they have azadi of doing what they want, they end up in all these type of fitnas where it is very, very difficult to take them out of. So the fervent dua and the request is, be a guide to your children, be a guide to your sons, be a guide to your daughters. Make them come up, grow them up in such an environment where deen is foremost in their minds, where they will carry the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They will carry the deen of Islam. They will become the ambassadors of Islam. For this, you have to sacrifice. It cannot be said that both parents are working. We do not have time to look after our children. The father is working, the mother is working, and there's no time to sit with the children. The mother, as we have mentioned at the beginning, that the role models have already been set by the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The male has to go out of the house, earn for his family, be a man, earn enough to keep his family comfortable, and they live a comfortable life, while the mother stays at home and nurtures her children and brings her children up in such a manner where they become the ambassadors of the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These Islamic values that we are talking about, these Islamic values need to be inculcated into the life of each and every child. Salah must become dominant in the life of every child. Tilawat of Quran, zikr, the love of ulama, love to sit in the company of the ulama, halkas of ta'aleem at home, where the entire family sits down, and fazail amal, fazail sadaqat is read, and the lessons that are learned from there are discussed among the family members, and also the 6 points of the Sahaba Ikram, their qualities, how these qualities can be brought into our lives. For this, a huge effort is required. Otherwise, in a few years' time, as I've just received a message from Brazil, one Jamaat had gone to a huge masjid, a beautiful masjid. 3 days they spent in that masjid. And in those 3 days, only the Imam came to read Salah, and one person came for one Salah in those 72 hours. This is the condition. So we do not want to go down to that condition. Neither do we want to be complacent and whatever happens, happens. No, we have to be proactive. We have to take our precautions. We have to watch who we take our deen from. And we have to follow the commands of Allah as shown to us by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. May Allah Rabbul Izzat grant us the tawfiq. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it such that those who haven't been for Hajj, they should make intention to proceed for Hajj, so that they can renew the Iman. They will, when they see the Baytullah, the Iman is rejuvenated, and the wahdaniyat and the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes into our lives. So let us make intention first and foremost that we will do everything in our power to save ourselves and our families, number one. And secondly, to bring about these good values that Allah Ta'ala has placed in our hearts. Every person is like a gold or a diamond, and that diamond is covered in dirt. Person picks up the diamond, polishes it, and then this true potential and value is seen thereafter. May Allah Ta'ala grant us all tawfiq of making amal. May Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala make it such that Allah Rabbul Izzat protect our iman, protect the iman of our children, protect of those who are coming after us, right up to the day of Qiyamah. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad wa barik wa sallim. Allahumma laka alhamdu kullu wa laka shukru kullu wa laka almulku kullu. Allahumma la uthi sana'an alayk anta kama asnayta ala nafsik. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. اللهم إنك عفو كريم رحيم تحب العفو فاعف عنا. يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك. يا مصرف القلوب صرف قلوبنا على طاعتك. اللهم حاسبنا حسابا يسيرا. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا واخطأنا. ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إسرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا. ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. Ya Allah, forgive us, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, protect us from the fitnas that are enveloping us, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, your azab is coming down left, right and center, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, tornadoes, wildfires, tsunamis, volcanoes, Ya, all these things are taking place around us, Ya Allah. Every part of the world some azab is coming, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, let us realize what is the foundation or what is the cause of these azabs, of these punishments, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, it is going against your command, Ya Allah. It is following our nafs and desires and our passions, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, please forgive each and every one of us, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, protect us, Ya Allah. Protect our progenies that are coming after us, Ya Allah. Protect each and every individual, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, grant each and every one of us the tawfiq of turning to you in tawbah and istighfar, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, protect us from all these things that are happening, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, help us, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, all those who are not married, Ya Allah, grant them good marriage partners, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, all those who have some sickness or some calamity has befallen them, Ya Allah, remove them, remove it, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, remove all types of sicknesses, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, grant us long life with afiyat, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, help us and forgive us, Ya Allah. ربنا آت نفوسها تقواها وزكها أنت خير من زكاها أنت وليها ومولاها. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. سمعنا وأطعنا غفرانك ربنا وإليك المصير برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.